Hello, everyone. Hi. Heartiest welcome to all of you. A very good evening, a very good Sunday evening to all the students, parents, and teachers who are all joined us for this wonderful, wonderful session on Vedantu. So, I welcome you all to Vedantu. Hope you are all having a lovely time and in great spirits. Well, we are just going to make those spirits even more lively as we kick off our Master Talks with Achievers session, the first ever episode on Vedantu. I welcome each one of you. I already see thousands and thousands of, in fact, tens of thousands, almost going to cross a lakh of students already on Vedantu. And I welcome again all the students, parents, and teachers for joining us tonight. So let's kick off this session. So again, welcome to all of you. Vedantu, as you all know, is a pioneer in live online tutoring. We have been leaders in this space. Through multiple innovations, we introduced our live learning platform, Wave, on which right now all of you are taking this session. We launched in India in 2014, and our patented technology, Wave, is the first of its kind platform where teaching and learning is a two-way interactive process. A child can interact with not only their teachers, but also with their peers through video chat, quizzing, hotspots, and multiple other stuff. In fact, right now, I can see a lot of your chats and a lot of your messages, welcoming and probably thanking us for the session. Thanks a lot for that, guys. And on Wave, the sessions are a lot of fun, lot of interaction. क्योंकि वो कहते हैं ना, जब समझ आएगा तो मजा आएगा, and जब मजा आएगा तो समझ आएगा. So, my dear students and parents and beloved teachers, I welcome all of you again to this wonderful session. We at Vedantu cater to students all the way from grade 1 to 12th, spanning all the major boards of CBSE and ICSE. And with our expertise in even competitive entrance examinations like JEE and NEET, our students have been cracking these exams with ranks in top 1000 and even better. Now, in fact, with the exams getting postponed, that sets a perfect context for us to have this session. In fact, itni sari uncertainty hai, itna sara stress hai. So that is one of the fundamental reasons why we are actually, having this session. And in fact, let's not wait further and let's kickstart today's awesome Master Talks with Achiever session. So, guys, today is a special day. बहुत बड़ा इनिशिएटिव लिया है वेदांतु ने. So the first episode of Master Talk with Achievers में we will be bringing in eminent personalities from all walks of life, and they will be coming here and interacting with you all and share their life journeys, share their inspirations, share their perspectives with all of you. तो आज ये पहला एपिसोड है, and stay tuned for many more such episodes in future. Anyways, to our first edition of Master Talks with Achievers, we will have one of the India cinema's most loved and one of the most successful actresses, Deepika Padukone. We will be joining us tonight with us. And along with her, we'll also have Dr. Sham Bhatt, who is a very renowned psychiatrist, integrative medicine specialist, and also a writer. In fact, we will be phasing it into two parts. First, we will be calling in Dr. Sham Bhatt, and I feel immensely happy that all of you are here tonight with us all on Vedantu. Not just the students, but there's a lot of stress for parents as well as the teachers. So we have divided this session so that we also address some of the questions for parents and teachers as well. So stay tuned. On Vedantu, each one of our students will care about you a lot, right? So here we have, in fact, invited students from all over the country, and few of us are joining from the world as well. And the COVID-19 pandemic has caused so much turmoil, so much isolation, social isolation, so much uncertainty about the future, and coping with this huge academic pressures which all the students are undergoing, right, are just some of the challenges which the kids are facing today. We believe a child should not just excel in academics, but also there has to be an emphasis on holistic growth and development. And that would not be possible without the help and support of their parents as well as their teachers. Mental strength my dear students, is one of the topic which is not discussed a lot in our society as well. So mental strength is need of the hour, and we truly support and we want to drive the awareness for this cause. In fact, let me proudly tell you, Vedantu is going to donate on behalf of each and every one of you who has supported us, joined us, and watching this session, and will be donating that to the Live, Love, Laugh Foundation, right, which we will be talking about tonight. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this foundation. It's an amazing foundation. So, the Live, Love, Laugh Foundation was set up in 2015 by internationally acclaimed actor, fashion icon, and the mental health ambassador, Deepika Padukone. Stemming from her core belief that no life should be lost because of mental illness, the foundation aims to give hope to every person experiencing stress, anxiety, and depression. With clutter breaking campaigns, very innovative programs and initiatives, and Deepika's own global stature and deep commitment to this cause that has created incredible message resonance. The foundation's work has, in a meaningful and powerful way, redefined and the mental health narrative in India. So, guys, let me not take much of the time, and I would love to welcome our first guest of the day, Dr. Sham Bhatt, who is a trustee of the Live, Love, Laugh Foundation and a psychiatrist, integrative medicine specialist, and a writer. Dr. Bhatt has a rare combination of postgraduate training and American board certification in two specialties: psychiatry from the American Board of Psychiatry and neurology and internal medicine from the American Board of Internal Medicine. Let's get to know his expert views on the current scenario and its effect on children, parents, and teachers. We welcome Dr. Bhatt to this session. So let us just wait till Dr. Bhatt joins in. So I think now I have Dr. Bhatt on the session. Hello, sir. Hello, Dr. Bhatt. Welcome to the session on Vedantu.
Hi, Vamsi.
How are you doing, Dr. Bhatt, tonight?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Pleasure is ours, sir. Everyone over here is very eager to hear your views. So let me just directly kick off. And some of the questions which have been asked repeatedly, I'll ask one of the questions, sir. As a mental health professional yourself, what are the implications of this pandemic that you are seeing in your practice for children and adolescents and also for others? Would just love to get your views on the same.
Well, the world hasn't seen anything like this for at least 100 years. This is an unprecedented time. And when we go through unprecedented times which cause a lot of change, it causes stress. And, so many parts of people's lives have changed. There's so much stress. Some people are worried about getting the illness or one of their loved ones getting it. Some people are, obviously because of lockdown, people are more isolated, more loneliness. There's uncertainty about jobs and economy and finances and all of that. So, obviously this is a difficult and stressful time for people from all age groups from all over the world. And particularly, as you said, children and adolescents also, while they are safe to some extent from the virus, meaning they don't often get severe infections, they're not safe from the mental health effects of it, unfortunately, because look at our children's and our college students' lives today, right? Every part of their life has changed. You can't go to the playground and play. You can't go to the mall with friends. You can't watch movies. You have to do online schooling. You're socializing online. So you're looking at the screen more, So all of this is causing stress. It's causing postural problems for a lot of people, neck pain, back pain, headaches, eye strain, and all of that because you're looking at the screen a lot, right? And then often, sometimes adolescents may start eating junk food because, you want to do something exciting in lockdown. And so sometimes you order a pizza, which is, if you keep doing that, that's not healthy. Then you might play, some video games. You might be on your PUBG or something late at night. You're not sleeping, right? So all of this, and then there's uncertainty about education also, right? I mean, what will happen, exams and results and job prospects and all of this. So definitely a tough time for children and adolescents and people from all age groups. But, there are things that we can do to keep our mental health up and to manage our stress well during this time.
Sure.
And, of course, I'll talk about that in a bit.
True. I mean, very aptly said, Dr. Bhatt. And in fact, this thing isn't going in away anytime soon. So I think, as you rightly said, this is a real problem, and we need to confront this head on, and we need to think about this as a new reality. And we should not now think about, okay, this might pass, but probably no, this is here going to stay. And then we need to have strategies. How do we tackle with this? Very aptly said. And in fact, on that note, Dr. Bhatt, I would love to get your views on, the role of the parents. Like, what do you think? What do you think the role of the parents in this current situation, especially, and what we can, what role can they play in supporting their children at this time? Given that they themselves are going through so much stress,
Yeah.
given their own environment in job and their work-life balance and other priorities in life. So what would you suggest? Because a lot of parents right now, Dr. Bhatt, are attending
And
this
to
session.
all the parents, I want to first say, you are doing probably a good job under the circumstances. The first thing I want to say is, like, don't put so much pressure on yourself, because as you said, there's so much pressure on parents. You have to work from home now, right? So that's there. You're trying to manage your kids. You're helping them with their school. Then on top of it, those of us who had home help coming many times, that's not there. So you're doing more housework, and you may be worried about your own job and so on. So I empathize. It's not, and I'm starting by saying it's not easy, because a lot of parents I meet try to become perfectionistic. Like, I have to do everything perfect. And I want to say, listen, first be kind to yourself also as parents, because you have to take care of your own health to take care of your kids' health. Children actually respond quite a bit to the parents' emotions. Parent is stressed, child is stressed. Even if the parent doesn't, looks happy, but inside they're stressed, the child will sense that. So it's very important for the parent to every day do that yoga, pranayama, take time, make that space between work and life. You know, because you're working at home, a lot of times there's no separation between your home and your office, right?
True.
And you need that space, because remember, when we went to office in the old days, even if you're working late, you're leaving the office. That means my work is done, more or less. At least, okay, at the most, they'll send me a WhatsApp, but at least my major work is done. Today, when does that stop? You know, this is a problem. So people need to have that distinction between work and home. Take care of their kids and themselves. Set some structured time so that they can spend time in a balanced way, and also have the kids participate a little bit more in the house. So if you do all of this, then you, as a parent, you can help your children quite a bit.
Sure.
Also, with children, it's important to talk to them about COVID in an age-appropriate way, not to ignore it or minimize it, but openly, honestly talk to our children about, okay, this is what's happening, this is why we have to wear a mask, and help them cope with this time. So that, and they'll do that by watching mommy and daddy. How are mommy and daddy coping with this time?
Sure.
I don't want to add more pressure to the parents. Obviously, you have enough pressure. That's why I come back to, listen, you guys are doing all right. Just relax a little bit more, take it a little bit easier, and give some more time for yourself, and that will help your kids as well.
That's aptly said, Navisha. In fact, very strong point about maintaining that difference and demarcation between the work and the time. And since everything is now work from home, creating that distinction is a challenge. Rightly said. So I would love to also get to know your views on teachers, because a lot of teachers have joined us on this session today, and they are experiencing their own difficulties because things have changed overnight for them. They were going to schools and teaching in a particular format, and now suddenly they are forced to change it, right, almost overnight, right? And many of them are not prepared for this, and that is causing their own unique set of challenges for them. So how important is it for them to seek help, and any suggestions around how do you cope with that?
I mean, again, teachers are facing a hard time. I'm hearing all kinds of stories where teachers, they're still getting used to the technology, so you have to get used to the new tech. You're going to have some students in class who unfortunately know the tech better than the teacher. So then they try to create mischief in the class sometimes. I've heard of teachers getting booted out of class and so on. It's hard to get the students' attention because many of them are in the house. Maybe they're distracted with something else. Students might be eating during class and all kinds of things happening. So teachers, and they have to prepare more, for these classes, because unlike other classes here, you need to have more structure and much more material in a way.
Yeah.
So with all of these changes, teachers are of course much more stressed out. And again, the same things I said about to parents and to children and adolescents applies to teachers, which is you've got to take care of your health by sleeping enough, by eating the right food, by meditating, by doing yoga, and also giving yourself time to adapt to this new situation. It's all too often we judge ourselves saying we're not doing a good job, but let's take time to adapt to this new situation. The lessons, as much as possible, to keep it a little more student centric, have the students participate more than normal classes, almost led by student questions in a way will help their participation, increase their engagement, because that's an issue, because they are on the screen. There's a lot of other temptations. And for the teacher, as much as possible, and I'm saying this as a guy who doesn't like the camera, but you've got to get comfortable with the camera as a teacher in today's world. So those are the top tips for teachers.
And doesn't it all seem like you're not comfortable with camera? But but anyways, moving on, I think one important topic I wanted to touch upon is there's hardly any credible information on how can one seek professional support, right? And also it's sort of like a taboo in a society these days. Like when all this stress is happening, it's not that well known and widely understood concept. So what do you think? What can they expect, and when they need to seek this support? Can you throw some light on some of these important aspects for our audience who are tuned in today?
Sure. There are many mental health professionals who work together as a team. The important thing is to actually seek help. That's the first most important thing I want to say. We should not hesitate at all. Early intervention is better than waiting. And this is a message to all parents, to all children, to all adolescents, to all teachers, that when in doubt, seek professional help, because you'll get to know what is required. Many times, talk therapy or counseling alone is enough to help you overcome the issue and to manage your stress. And you can go and see a counselor or a therapist. In case it's a little more serious, you would have to see a psychiatrist. Of course, psychiatrists are not not enough psychiatrists in our country. So you may not always have access in your community to a psychiatrist. If that's the case, you can also talk to your GP, because more and more general practitioners are understanding the importance of mental health, and they're also taking care of mental health. But the most important point is, don't suffer alone. And I think that's one of the messages from today, right? That we are all in this together. Children, teachers, parents, educators, society, we're all in this together. We're going through a time that is testing us, but it's a time where we can learn how to get our mental and physical health in optimal conditions, so that this makes us stronger and more resilient. And that can happen when we all come together as a society. And so don't hesitate to get help. And there are professionals who can help.
Wonderful. We are all in it together. That's a beautiful message. So thank you, Dr. Sham, for such insightful and thought-provoking expert views. I'm sure your views would have made a difference to all the students, parents, and teachers who have tuned in today. Thanks a lot, sir. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Now, my dear students, parents, and teachers, I'm sure you would have taken some, strong, notes from some of the tips which Dr. Sham has given. Very relevant, especially in this current time. Now, going further and coming down to the star time of our session. So to call our second guest and the most awaited segment of the evening, I would love to call the internationally acclaimed actor, fashion icon, and mental health ambassador from India, Deepika Padukone. Deepika's father, Prakash Padukone, is a former badminton world champion. Deepika too was a national level badminton player until she gave up the sport at the age of 16 to pursue her love for acting, and rest, as they say, is obviously history. In 2005, Deepika moved from Bangalore, where she grew up, to Mumbai, the heart of India's film industry. Starting with her first movie in 2007, she has over the last decade acted in close to 30 feature films across genres and won several awards, including 3 Filmfare Awards, 5 Filmfare nominations for iconic performances, and many of her films also rank among the highest grossing films of all time. She has been named by Time magazine as one of the 100 most influential people in the world, and Forbes magazine has listed her among the 10 highest paid actresses in the world. In 2014, Deepika was diagnosed with clinical depression and sought professional help to aid her recovery. In June of 2015, she founded the Live, Love, Laugh Foundation to give hope to those suffering from stress, anxiety, and depression. She recently received the Crystal Award at the World Economic Forum in Davos for leadership in raising mental health awareness. Deepika has been touted as one of the India's cinema's most loved and successful actresses till date, and her achievements have made her one of the country's biggest role models for the youth in recent times. With her talent, commitment, dedication, discipline, and hard work, Deepika Padukone has already achieved iconic status, even though her journey has only just begun. So, guys, let's welcome none other than Deepika Padukone, and I really look forward to taking inspiration from her journey and love to listen to her perspective. So let's all join hands together and welcoming Deepika to today's session on Vedantu. Hi, Deepika. I can now see
Hi.
your. So Deepika, I'll just repeat this thing. So in fact, what we did was talking about those memories. We asked our students to see which one of them is your super fan. So this is interesting. So
Okay.
we asked few questions, and I'll also tell you what did they answer, and we'd
Okay.
love to hear your true answer to that.
Oh
So,
God. Okay.
so the first question we asked was, when would Deepika start studying for an exam during her school days?
Okay.
Now the answers are pretty interesting.
But you know, my mother's watching this, and she's going to know that if I lie, she's going to know.
So you'll love this answer. So 10% of the students felt that you studied 24 hours before the exam. 60% of them said that you studied 1 week before, and 30% of them said you studied 1 month before the exam.
Oh my God.
So Deepika, which one is it?
Um. Okay. Well, the right answer is all three, to be
Uh-huh.
honest. Because I think it really depended on the subject. And I had to put my mind to it. Like I had to start telling myself 1 month before that, oh, exams are coming, I have to study. So I would start the process, but I wouldn't last more than 15, 20 minutes. Every time I sat at a desk and opened my textbook to study, within 15 or 20 minutes, I would start feeling sleepy. So I'd say, okay, I'll do a little bit today, and oh, I still have, like 1 month left, and then, try again the next day. So the process would begin, but I think the real studying was literally 24 hours before or 12 hours before, when you have no option, and everything that I can just sort of mug up. I think my style was just mugging up and just remember as much as I can, and go and sort of just pour it out onto the exam paper, whatever little I can remember. So it is a little bit of both.
Very interesting. I think that's completely relatable. I can completely relate to that. I am sure with so many students out here would as well. Another very popular question, Deepika, we received, and I guess everyone would love to know the answer to this. So the question we asked was, while growing up, what did you aspire to become? Right, and let me just spell out what the answers we received. 45% of the students felt you wanted to be an actress. 15% felt you wanted to be an interior designer. I don't know where that came from. 40% felt you wanted to be a sports person.
Ooh, okay. Uh, so actually, the right answer is the second one,
Oh wow.
interior designer. I mean, when I was a kid, by default, I became a professional badminton player.
Yeah.
So that's something I did, but it's not something that I was really passionate about. Of course, and I'm sure we'll cover that at a later stage about the role that sports has played in my life. But it's not something that of course, I think I did decently well at it, but at the same time, it's not something that I wanted to pursue. I guess if that was the case, I'd be an athlete today. But interior designer is something I really wanted to do. I'm really passionate about just doing up the house, and yeah, I'm excited about interior. So that's something I seriously considered when I was in the 10th standard, and also researched some universities that could teach it as a course, and so on. So B is the right answer.
That's pretty deep. I never knew that. That's
Yeah.
pretty surprising.
Mm.
Do you still take time out for doing some of that, especially during this time lockdown?
Yes, during lockdown. And of course, I started working at a very young age. As soon as I finished and for everyone who's watching this, I'm not going to lie about my education. I've only finished my 12th standard. And so, and then after that, modeling and then acting. And I always felt like, of course, my parents did want me. I think ideally they would have liked me to have at least a degree. And I remember them saying that, you need to have at least a degree, because at least you'll have something to fall back on if your professional career doesn't take off for whatever reason. Um, but having said that, I think I was very lucky. I started modeling at a very young age, and I started working at a very young age. And so I moved out of the house when I was already like 18, 19. And since that time, I've lived alone. I've lived on my own. And I've always had to, whether it was first I lived with family when I was in Mumbai, and then I moved into a rented apartment. And many years later, I bought my own apartment. So through that journey, of course, at every stage, of course, you're proud of the fact that, you are independent, and that, so every sofa, every chair, every spoon, every utensil, you're proud of, because you've managed to buy it from your hard work. And so, yes, and always there'd be an aesthetic element to it, which is, what color sofa, what color chairs, what color curtains. So I've always been home proud, and it continues even now. Even in the lockdown, I keep myself. My husband always says, he says, you can't sit quiet for 1 minute. I'll always have to find something to do around the house. So I'll finish my work, and if there's something around the house to do, I keep doing things around the house. So yeah, it's something I'm passionate about.
Lucky him. That's completely relatable. That's something which is something. That's why you are a role model, because marks. As we also talk a lot about it, Vedantu itself, that marks is not everything, right? If you are passionate and if you have the courage to follow that passion, I mean, the personalities like you are the true examples of you doing that and then achieving greatness. We'll always talk about that
Sure.
a lot. Last question, Deepika, and this is my personal favorite,
Okay.
which is something is in everyone's mind, is how is Deepika spending time during the lockdown? So in fact, 35% of the students have said that you're spending time by reading books. 20% think you are experimenting with cooking, and a whooping 45% feel that you must be watching movies, catching up with all the movies you might have missed. So,
Woo! और इसका सही जवाब है B or C, because I've also been trying to cook, and every night we dedicate a certain amount of time, and that's academic actually, and it's a coincidence that we're talking about that on this platform. For Ranveer and I both, of course, we like to watch movies and watch shows as an audience, but for us, it's also a learning, you know. To see different kinds of content coming out from not just from our own country but from different parts of the world as well. So it's a little bit of both. Cooking, again, something I had to do when I was young, and when I moved out I had to sort of cook, but over the years I'd say I got rusty, and so I think this was a good time for me to, and I enjoy being in the kitchen, I enjoy baking a lot. So I've been experimenting with that, and at the same time we do dedicate some number of hours in the day to also watch something. So it's recreation as well as learning.
Wow, quite a glimpse on how you're spending time during this period.
Yeah.
Wonderful, Deepika. Coming to the current situation, Deepika, things are very different for all of us. Like, काफी tough है. We all have been homebound, forced to adapt, not meeting people, not meeting friends, change schedules, so on and so forth. How have you adapted? How have you coped up with this whole situation and the changes and the stress associated with it? Would love to know about that.
Ji. See, I think, Vamsi, I think like it's sort of everyone's experience with this lockdown and with the pandemic has been very, very different. You can't say that my experience is the same as somebody else's experience. But speaking about our experience specifically, it started with a lot of denial and almost like, how can something like this even happen? Um, and then, with all the news that was coming in, you start reading and you start watching, and you start realizing, wow, okay, this is real. Um, and then comes the part of uncertainty where you're like, okay, this is a possibility, um, but what are we supposed to do? So it came with a lot of confusion, it came with a lot of uncertainty, and I think the final step was acceptance. To accept that, okay, I don't think any of us today have the answer to what life post COVID is going to be. I don't think any of us have any firm answers on when this is going to end. And so I think one thing that has worked for me is to accept the fact that this is the reality. It's worked for me, and to be in the present. I think a lot of anxiety comes from constantly worrying about what the future is going to be about. And I think one of the ways to overcome that is to sort of be in the present, take each day as it comes. And one of the other things that has worked for me is to follow a pattern or to follow a routine. Of course, it didn't happen instantly. It didn't happen right from the beginning of the lockdown, because your body, as human beings, we're not used to that. You're not used to being confined in one space. But as you start accepting and realizing that, okay, that this is going to go on for some time, to actually find the things that give you joy. And it could be different things. What gives me joy may not give somebody else joy. So you have to find individually what are those things that give you joy. And, like I said, following a routine really worked for me. So dedicating some number of hours for exercise, some number of hours for reading, some number of hours for cooking, eating, sleeping, watching something. And everyone, again, the patterns will be different, but I think following a pattern and routine is really what has worked for me.
Very interesting. The very, very strong point around discipline. And I think all the students, especially, right, who are watching this, please do take a note of that, because that's really something which serves you not just in current time, but probably in life itself.
Yes,
In
yes.
fact, Deepika, now this other question is something which is it's serious, and thanks a lot for actually sharing with this with us. Some many years ago, you yourself experienced anxiety and depression and received professional support, following which you set up this wonderful Live, Love, Laugh Foundation. One of the programs of the foundation is You Are Not Alone. I'm very
Yes,
curious about this. This program is for adolescents, right? So I'm
yes.
very curious, why did you decide to focus on adolescents for this particular?
Also because students and adolescents, they are our future generation. They are the first line of defense. It's like when you're in the younger classes, when they take you to a fire brigade on a day trip. How our teachers used to take us to a fire brigade to see how firemen work, or how you have sex education in high school. The same reason why you have maths classes, the same reason why you have physical education classes. It's the same reason, because it is at that age where you grasp the most. Your learning is at its peak. You're exposed to different things in your life. Um, Emotions and impressions are being formed and being set at that age. Um, and it's time that we looked at mental health the same way we look at our physical health. And it's time for us and for our education system to include the importance of mental health into the curriculum, uh, in order for our future generations to understand the importance of mental health, to understand the importance of why our emotional well-being or our emotional health is as important as our physical health. And so that's the reason. And it's a very, very simple course where we talk about, where I give an introduction, and then we talk about why mental health, what is the importance of mental health, what are the signs and symptoms in yourself or in the people around you, what is it that you can do if yourself or people around you, maybe your friend, or even for teachers for that matter, if a teacher notices unusual behavior in a student, for them to sort of be acquainted with what those signs and symptoms are, what do they need to do, because we truly believe that they are the future generation of our country, and they are the first line of defense.
That's true. I think that's a very powerful thought, Deepika, because it's not just the physics, chemistry, and maths. Marks is important, but I think this aspect is something which is less understood. And I think, as Dr. Sham was himself telling, it's also a sort of like a taboo. Like people,
Yes,
really don't talk about it much. And
yes,
it's kudos to you and your organization for actually bringing this light. In fact, at Vedantu, Deepika, I would share with you, we also believe in not just academics, but a holistic development, and that's one of the
absolutely,
strong pillars on which a child's holistic development is to be built on. So,
absolutely.
especially teachers who are in this session, who are hearing this, I would love for you to get inspired and probably talk about this in your own classes. And
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, even for teachers, teaching such young, impressionable minds is not an easy job, day in and day out. And you have, teachers have their own, parents have their own physical and emotional needs as well. So yes, we do talk about going to the gym, and everyone talks about, oh, I lifted this weight, or oh, I ran so much. It's in the same light. It's time we spoke about our emotional needs. Did you meditate? Have you slept enough? Have you taken care of your nutrition? So, like you said, um, physical health and emotional health need to be looked at as one, and have to be. And it's not just a transient thing. It's not something that one should do just in the pandemic, or just before exams. I think it's important to make it a part of your lifestyle, something that will help you in the years to come as well.
Right, very, very nicely said. Deep thought. That definitely, Deepika. I think this talk itself would inspire a lot of the teachers, especially and the parents who are looking at this session, to focus on this. In fact, my next segment is on the questions we selected from the students themselves. Like a lot
Okay.
of them are asking questions in the chats right now, and some of the top ones we have identified. In fact, there's Ravneet from Bhopal who has
Okay.
asked, very relevant to what we're just discussing. This question is: do marks really matter in life?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm not going to generalize, and I know a lot of my studious friends as well who are very, very successful in life today. So I don't think it's right to generalize. But in my own personal case, clearly not. I think just the one thing my parents always said is just don't fail, you know. And that's what I work towards. And I think I'm very fortunate that even my parents, um, and of course, because failing a year comes with its own kind of stigma, it comes with its own sort of baggage. And I think everyone has a sort of different threshold for that. But for me personally, um, I didn't want to. I just wanted to get done with school. I didn't want to repeat a year. So that's the pressure I put on myself, and I said, okay. And even my parents, they knew that that's not what came to me naturally. So sure, no one's I don't think anyone is saying you should fail, but at the same time, I don't think there should be undue pressure on students by the school or by teachers or even by parents, because I think I'm a classic example of that. I didn't have fantastic marks in school. I was an average or below average student. But like I said, I think the discipline of going to school, the discipline of making friends, social interaction, and the different kind of classes that we had in school. We had knitting and stitching and sports day, teachers day, all of that, event singing. So all of those things eventually shape who you become and shape your personality. So I think I wouldn't. I think that my point being that you shouldn't boil it down to just marks. I think it depends on your overall personality and development, and I think it needs to be looked at in a more holistic manner.
Nicely said. Especially the parents who are watching this session, do take a note of that.
See, there's a difference. There's a difference. I think it's important to clarify that there's a difference between encouraging and pressure. So yes, I think, it's important for parents to encourage your child, and sometimes even as children you do get lazy. So it's important for the parent to and the parents are really the best judges at that, to be able to differentiate between, is the child being lazy, or is the child just genuinely not being able to grasp and understand. So yeah, it's important to encourage but not put pressure.
That's rightly said. Exactly. Being a sports person yourself, Deepika, this next question from Rohini at Full of Life from Bangalore has asked, do sports help cope with pressure? Did it in your case?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I cannot imagine my life without sport. And that's one of the most important things that, again, apart from mental health, that I really feel should become, and I think over the years it has become, but should become a very, very important part of our lifestyle and of our curriculum. And sports has certainly played a huge part in who I am today, the way I'm able to handle failure and success, the way I'm able to handle stressful situations, um, teamwork, team effort, um, all of those things. They are not tangible things, they are intangible things that sport teaches you. And I don't think I'd be half the person I am today if I was not a professional athlete, or if I had not played sport.
Wow. Wow, that's a powerful one. Yeah. We really think that we should probably make this a more stronger part of our curriculum, right? From what
Yes.
you have been saying, I think I clearly see, and I've heard that from even other, students as well. That really, really helps release energy. That's
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
very interesting. Last question was Supreet from Patiala, and he has asked, "Who was your go-to person when you were in school?"
Oh, I think it really depended on what I wanted. Um, so my go-to person in school. So in when I was in school, my go-to person would be maybe like a really kind teacher. Like you have teachers who are mean, and then you have teachers who are really kind. So I think my go-to person would be one of my English teachers who was very, very understanding and kind. Um, and I feel like some of my school friends, and even today, like all of my friends are all, I literally have 4 or 5 best friends, and all of them are from school, from my school years. So, and my growing up years. So they would be my go-to people in school. But at home, I think I was quite shrewd like that. I feel like I used my parents. If I wanted to go shopping, I would ask my mother. If I wanted to go have a late night, I would ask my father. So I don't know, I think it really depended on what I wanted from which parent. And I tried. I'm not saying I was successful all the time, but I tried, depending on their mood and what the need was at that point.
Who to go? Wonderful, Deepika. Thanks a lot for sharing those
No
things and
problem.
answering those questions directly from the students. Deepika, before you go, what is your message for our entire Vedantu community? In fact, comprising of students, parents, teachers, there are a lot of them watching this right now. Any
Yeah.
tips you can give them to cope, especially with this current situation?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say I have a couple of messages. I think one is for the current situation that we are in, and one is generally, I think, for life. I think in the current situation, restrict the kind of news and the information that you're receiving, especially if you're someone who tends to get concerned or worried about the future. Focus on the present. Um, Follow a routine, and do things that give you joy, and do not hesitate in seeking help. You'd rather be overcautious than not. So, if you feel any kind of emotional distress, do not hesitate to reach out to your friends, to your family, or to anyone who you feel comfortable with. There are several helplines also that you can reach out to. So, I want you to know that you are not alone. that we are all in this together. Mental health is something, unfortunately, not always, they don't always have physical symptoms. So unlike other illnesses, it's difficult to tell, uh, which is why sometimes you feel like you're the only person going through it. But you should know, and every person watching this, you should know that you are not alone, and that we are in this together, and most importantly, that there is hope. And I think for the long term, what I would say is, and especially for students, and I can say this because my parents followed this. They never put any kind of pressure on, of their aspirations onto us. We were always allowed to. We were allowed to choose a profession of our choice. Um, and my grandfather followed that with my mother and my father, and they in turn have passed that on to us. So I think you'll only be successful if you're passionate about what you do, whatever it is that thing might be. So follow your passion, and it while you follow your passion, you also need to be disciplined. Dedication, hard work. These have been some of my learnings that I would like to share with all of you today.
Wow, Deepika, that was wonderful. Such beautiful thoughts. You are not alone. Reach out,
Yes.
and there's always hope. Such beautiful
Yes.
thoughts, and most importantly, I love the last part. Always follow your passion, but have discipline and dedication in it.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
that's really probably walking the talk. Really talked about clearly from your story. That's exactly what you have done, and we can see, all of us can see, like, how successful you are. And all the more reason, guys, all the students especially, take that as an inspiration. Marks are not the end of the life. Exams are not the end of the life. They are just things which, as Deepika said, teaches you some values in life which you carry, right? And everything is a competition, be it marks, be it probably becoming an actor, becoming a professional athlete. That's beautiful thoughts, Deepika. I mean,
Thank you.
but
And I feel like everything that happens in your life, there is always a learning. There is always something to learn from any experience that we go through in our life. So even if it is a setback, even if it is an academic setback, I've failed in math so many times. But there's always a learning, and sometimes that learning doesn't happen instantly, doesn't happen in that time. It could happen 10, 15 years down the line. But I always believe that there is something to take away, or there is something to learn from everything that we are challenged with every step of the way.
wonderful, Deepika. Dear Deepika, thanks a lot for
Thank
joining us,
you.
being with us, right, and
Thank
sharing.
you. This was a lot of fun. I'm so glad we could do this, and I'm so glad that the rest of it went off so well. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to reach out to so many people, and congratulations on everything that all of you are doing.
Thanks, Deepika. It's a pleasure to have you. And in fact, I'm sure all the students, parents, and teachers would have loved. I got, in fact, inspired from some of these things which you just shared. And I'm sure all the students and parents and teachers as well. It's a very, very important topic, guys, which Deepika touched upon today. And really hope that this triggers, our thinking about, the whole state about mental wellness and mental health. How do you think about that, right? Thanks, Deepika. Uh,
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Vedantu.